In 2011, a research team at the University of Pittsburgh published an MRI study that stunned the neuroscience world. They took 120 adults over the age of 65. They randomized them into two groups. One group did aerobic walking, 30 to 40 minutes, 3 times a week. The other group did stretching and toning, which served as the control condition. 1 year later, they scanned everyone's brains again. The walking group had grown their hippocampus, the brain's primary memory center, by 2%. The stretching group's hippocampus had shrunk by 1.4%. Not the same, not neutral. Growing versus shrinking in the same 12 months, in the same age group, with walking as the only variable. The lead researcher, Kirk Erickson, described it in subsequent interviews as, and this is not an overstatement from me, this is what the researchers themselves said, one of the most striking findings in the history of neuroplasticity research. Your brain is not finished changing. Not at 65, not at 70, not at 75. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly how much exercise it takes to begin seeing measurable changes. It's less than most people assume. I'll give you the specific number before we're done. Let's start with the mechanism, because understanding why this happens is what makes the evidence feel real rather than just impressive. The reason aerobic exercise grows your brain comes down to a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. When you do aerobic exercise, walking, cycling, swimming, anything that raises your heart rate into a sustained moderate zone, your body releases BDNF into the bloodstream. BDNF crosses the blood-brain barrier, and once it's in the brain, it does something remarkable. It promotes the survival of existing neurons. It stimulates the growth of new synaptic connections. It supports a process called neurogenesis, the birth of new brain cells, in the hippocampus specifically. Dr. John Rady at Harvard Medical School, the author of a book called Spark that brought this research to a wider audience, called BDNF Miracle-Gro for the brain. It's an informal phrase, but it's mechanistically accurate. BDNF does for neurons roughly what fertilizer does for plants. And the production of BDNF is directly stimulated by aerobic exercise, not strength training alone, not stretching, aerobic movement, sustained, moderate intensity, rhythmic. This is the mechanism behind the Pittsburgh findings. This is why the walkers' brains grew. What does this look like in practical terms, in your daily life? The cognitive benefits that show up consistently across the research include improved memory, particularly episodic memory, the ability to recall specific events and experiences. Improved executive function, planning, decision-making, holding multiple pieces of information in mind at once. Faster processing speed, better sustained attention. These are not abstract improvements. These are the functions that determine whether you can follow a complex conversation, remember where you put your keys, manage your own finances, and stay mentally independent as you age. The research doesn't just suggest these improvements, it measures them. With standardized cognitive tests before and after exercise interventions, the effects are consistent. The dose-response relationship is real. Now for the number that deserves the most attention. Physically active adults have a 35 to 40% lower risk of developing Alzheimer's disease compared to sedentary adults. This comes from a meta-analysis of 163 studies. Not one study, not two, but a comprehensive synthesis of the best available evidence across the research literature. 35 to 40% lower risk. That is a larger effect than any drug currently available or in late-stage trials for Alzheimer's prevention. I want to be careful here because precision matters. Exercise doesn't guarantee you won't develop dementia. Dementia has multiple causes and risk factors, but the evidence that regular aerobic exercise reduces your risk is stronger than the evidence for any other intervention, dietary, pharmaceutical, or otherwise. This is not a footnote in a wellness article. This is the current state of the scientific literature. Now the number I promised. The minimum effective dose, the threshold where most cognitive studies see significant effects, is 150 minutes per week of moderate aerobic exercise. That's 30 minutes, 5 times a week. Moderate intensity, conversational pace, not breathless. The Pittsburgh walkers did 30 to 40 minutes, 3 times a week in the first months and built toward 5 times. That's where the hippocampal growth occurred. 150 minutes per week. That's your target, and walking counts. You do not need a gym. You do not need equipment. You need consistent aerobic effort at a pace where you could hold a conversation but wouldn't want to sing. That's zone 2. That's the intensity. That's the dose. Here's something that surprised researchers, and should surprise you too. Sitting for 10 or more hours per day is independently associated with brain shrinkage, even in people who exercise. In other words, completing your 30-minute walk and then sitting for the rest of the day does not fully protect your brain. Sedentary behavior appears to be a separate risk factor from physical inactivity. The brain responds not just to whether you exercise, but to how much you move throughout the entire day. The practical implication: every 60 to 90 minutes of sitting, stand up. Walk for 2 minutes, not for the exercise, for the neurological signal that your body is not in extended stillness. It takes 2 minutes. It interrupts the pattern the research is concerned about. Let me settle something that comes up constantly in this space. Brain training apps, crossword puzzles, memory games, Sudoku. These are not bad for you, but if you're doing them instead of aerobic exercise or believing they're equivalent, the research does not support that. Meta-analyses consistently show that aerobic exercise produces larger and more durable cognitive benefits than any brain training program studied. The apps improve your ability to do the tasks the app trains you on. Exercise improves the underlying biological capacity of the brain itself. One works on the software, the other upgrades the hardware. These are not the same thing. Here is your protocol, simplified. 150 minutes per week. Broken up, however, works for your schedule. 30 minutes, 5 days. 50 minutes, 3 days. Whatever you'll actually do consistently. Moderate intensity, the zone 2 pace where you can talk, but you're working. Add 2-minute movement breaks every 60 to 90 minutes throughout the day. Set a phone reminder if you need to. It will feel trivial, it isn't. And if you're starting from a very low baseline, if 30 minutes feels like too much right now, start with 10. Meaningful BDNF release begins in the first 10 minutes of aerobic activity. You are not starting from nothing. You are starting from somewhere. Your brain responds to the right inputs. The science on this is not ambiguous. This is the final video in a 10-video series on longevity science, built specifically for adults who want real research explained in plain English. If you've made it to video 10, you now have a picture of aging that most people never get, from walking speed and muscle loss to sleep, inflammation, and now what exercise does to your brain. That knowledge compounds, and it's all still here. Every video in this series is on the channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the right time. There's more research to cover, and we're just getting started. The next best step from today's video is the Zone 2 deep dive, specifically how to know you're hitting the right intensity. That one's right here.